Can we run our entire Artisan HQ off-grid? We're about to find out. We've just installed the brand new Sigenstack energy storage system from Sigenergy with full backup for our entire Artisan HQ. In this video, we're going to go in depth, step by step, on how we installed this system and what it's going to do for our business. So let's take you back just a few days ago to the start of the install. And thanks to Sigenergy for sponsoring today's video.
Alright, all the hardy backers on the wall, so I've done it 3 high because you can see where the tray comes in. It just would have been a bit short doing 2, and also the inverter's not going to fit side of the battery, so we're going to have to stick that up above the batteries, so that should give us plenty of coverage. So I'm just quickly filling the little gaps, some of it where it's not too even, there's just some small gaps. So if I fill it now, just take your eye away from it, and then at least if we do paint over it, just a bit nicer finish. So I'm just making up all these bits of unistrut because I want to wait and see if this gets painted. It's worth doing it tonight and then can mount all this tomorrow once it's dry. Requested by Jordan, Magnolia. I would have gone with that blue colour to be honest, but Max seems to like the Magnolia, so we'll go with it. Oh, delicious.
Are you any good at painting?
We'll find out. Alright, it's got a hair in it, cheap brush. Welcome back to Artisan Decorating.
So it's all in the prep work, and as this is the Artisan HQ, of course, like any project, we want it to look, but actually we want it to look the chef's kiss of all chef's kisses. So Lee suggested a very good idea, which is to paint the hardy backer. So we usually put the hardy backer on anyway, standard for all our installs. We're actually painting it just to make it all look even nicer, and then it's going to be like a lovely backdrop for all of the cable tray, inverter and batteries to go on. Stand back like Picasso and look at your work of art.
That's all right, it'll be all right once there's like batteries hiding all the joints.
Yeah, this is where the prima donna in me goes, we should have painted it Artisan blue.
I did say on the WhatsApp. So, me and Luca here, I don't know where Ruben is, having a lay-in, but basically made up all this unistrut with the end caps and the washers and zebs yesterday. Painted this last night before I left, so that's dry now. And then all the batteries and inverters turned up now first thing this morning, so that's just sitting outside. Once we've got this on, we can start sort of seeing where we want the batteries, start stacking them, and sort of try get a plan together. Mate, about 4 of these went past yesterday.
Do they do bacon rolls?
I don't know. Oh, you waving at you.
Literally.
Ask him to like and subscribe.
Do they do bacon rolls? Oh, they must do. No, I really shouldn't get anything from that van.
A few moments later.
Top man. Lovely. Thank you very much. For me, special price. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. I don't believe him.
Oh, he says that to everyone.
Yeah. It's the driest
Mate, where's the bacon?
bacon roll.
No wonder you get a special price. What'd you give it out of 10?
So this is a fully modular system, which means it's basically, you build it like Meccano. The battery modules are what they say, modular, but the bases are separate. And then there's this joining piece that goes in between the bases to basically cover the cables and make it all look nice. And what's nice about it is that they've given you this template, cardboard template, so you know where everything needs to be, space it all out properly, drill your anchors and get everything mounted quickly and easily, hopefully. So these guys are going to start mounting everything up, getting the cables into place ready, and then we'll start connecting. So this system works slightly differently to the Sigen store system that we install in residential situations where you've got a gateway. In this situation, you can fit a gateway, but that's really for massive systems. If you've got up to 3 inverters, you can actually use the inverters as the gateway, and that's what we're doing here. So this 35mm armoured cable is going to be running from the mains incomer to the inverter, through the inverter and back to our main distribution board, and that's going to provide full low latency backup for the entire building. So this is actually 35mm 4-core steel wire armoured from Doncaster Cables. The reason we're using 35, even though it's a little bit overkill, is because of the length. We just want to avoid voltage drop for the property, and the fact that the power for the entire building is going through this cable, although it's a 100 amp supply, so 25 would be fine. With the volt drop calculations, we decided to go with 35 because it's about 50 meters of cable to get from the board to the inverter and back. The one downside to 35mm cable is it's quite tough to work with. So we've got one of those armoured cables in and the other one is about to go in. Tomorrow we're going to start mounting the batteries, so I'll see you in the morning. So Sigenergy give us a really nice template to make it easy to install these. Step one is to assemble these marked cardboard pieces together. So as we've got two stacks, we've got two cardboard pieces, one for the primary stack and one for the secondary stack. And Luke's just basically laying them out so that we get them in the right place. Then we can drill our fixing holes based on the template. So these are 12 kilowatt-hour battery modules. They weigh 100 kilos each, and we've got 10 of them. So a ton of battery modules alone, plus that inverter and all of the other bits that go with it, for a total of 120 kilowatt hours of storage, which is teeny tiny for this system, which can expand up to 10 megawatt hours if you want to. It's infinitely expandable, which is what's so exciting about this, because we're going to start to install this for other clients with much bigger systems soon, but we're testing it out first at our own HQ. So this inverter is huge. It weighs over 100 kilos, and we're trying to just find the right space to lay it all out properly. So we get it unboxed and have a look and see how big it actually is. So this is a 60 kilowatt hybrid inverter. That means that you can connect solar PV to it, but you can also connect batteries to it, which is what we're doing here. So it's got solar PV inputs and battery DC inputs. And the reason we need such a big inverter is because the whole building power has to run through this, because the inverter acts as the gateway to provide instantaneous switch over to backup power from the batteries in the event of a power cut. All of that power is going to go through this box here. So it's a bit of a beast, but it's what we need. So you see those orange or red and black terminals, that's where the battery cables drop out. So what we want is the DC cables from there to drop out nicely into the first stack of the batteries. So we've got 1.1 meter space, and the side of the batteries is going to be here. So we've got a little bit of a problem there. We've got our AC cables that have got to go in on the right hand side of the inverter. So really for that purpose we need the inverter to be over to this side slightly. So this is how it shows it on the diagram, with the inverter to the side of the batteries. But obviously we're not going to be able to do that because we've not got enough width. So we're going to have to put the inverter up here basically. And then that means that these battery cables are going to kind of have to go behind the batteries and up into the inverter. And then our AC cables are going to come up here, out of the isolators into the inverter as well. So I think we're probably best to center the inverter on the top of the first battery stack. So unlike the other Sigenergy battery systems that we usually fit, the 𝐒𝐻𝐿 Store domestic product, this has a very different base. It's quite chunky. And it's nice because it makes it even quicker and easier to join multiple stacks. The main base goes like that, then you've got a joining piece that goes here, and then another base, and they've got pre-made interlink cables to link the different stacks, and then all the battery modules to stack on top of this. So we've got a bit of a problem, which is space. You know, in manufacturers' instructions, how sometimes they give you like all of these various clearances and things like that. Well, according to the instructions, the inverter needs to be only like 1.2 meters from the ground and needs a lot of clearance around it. And realistically, there's no way that we can do that here. We've got this wall to fit everything on. So we're going to have to break the rules a bit, but it's our install, so we can kind of do what we want. And obviously it's good learning for you guys to know actually how much space you do need technically to install this stuff. It's designed for huge buildings, you know, megawatt style systems. This is a very small version of the system compared to really what it's designed for. So we're going to just have to squeeze it in here. It's not ideal, but we're going to make it work.
they give you loads and loads of these little shims, and it's just to make the finer adjustments. This is just like level on the ground, so all you do is lift it up, put the shims under here, and drop it back down again.
So we've just found out that we need security Torx bits to take these front plates off, which we don't have. Lee's got some. He's heading back from the wholesalers, so we're just waiting for him. So we're only just starting, and there's already 3 things you absolutely need to know before you fit these and you need to bring with you. So one thing is 50mm tri-rated cable. That's important to run from the inverter to the batteries. They don't supply you with pre-made cables because I guess they don't know how long you're going to need them to be. So the only pre-made cables that come with it are the ones that link between the stacks of batteries. The second thing you're going to need is an M5 security Torx bit. That's really important to be able to undo the front covers of the bases. And you're also going to need a 12mm SDS bit to actually fix the units down to the floor. And I'd recommend a good Hilti drill bit because that will enable you to drill the hole out with minimal dust and get a really good fixing. So Ruben is actually better kitted out than any of us. He's got the security bits that we need thanks to a very friendly subscriber who sent him a little toolkit once.
So this is just a blanking plate. Because the batteries are linking together this way, obviously you've got cables passing through this side, but nothing's coming through this way, so they supply the blanking plate which you just put onto the end. And these are just little rubber sort of gaskets they give you, so where the cable goes through here, it just protects it against the metal.
So we're going to start getting some batteries on, and for that we're going to need these. Oh, it lifts off. Oh, easy. Look at that. Oh, well, that's quite clever. I like that. That's genius packaging. Well done, Sigenergy. So they come with 4 handles, which don't go in there. They go in there. 1, 2, 3. Easy with 4 people. Yeah, so just like the 𝐒𝐮 store system, it's a stackable battery system. You've got these plugs on top and the modules just plug into each other. Super quick and easy to stack once you've got the bases in place. And just like that, 22 minutes, 120 kilowatt hours of battery storage installed. 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Oh. There goes the man in hand out with it.
Oh, there we go. This way, your way a bit, your way a bit. That's it. Nice. Boom. So this is the battery isolator switch. That's where the DC connections go to. And then basically they're all just connected in parallel, down, across, and then this stack is also connected in parallel. So the one that Luke's putting a little cap on now, that's because that doesn't have a battery isolator, that just has like a blank cover, and you can extend this to multiple stacks. So these are the DC connections that go to the hybrid inverter. So it's important that these are as close as possible to your inverter, which means usually this one will be on the right-hand side, and then everything else stacks to the left. And this is the blank cover for the second stack. Okay. You've got to kill some trees to save the world. There's a lot of packaging involved in renewable energy installations, as you've probably seen from previous videos, and this one is no exception, particularly because each battery has its own like mini pallet, so there's a lot of wood. So you're going to need somewhere to dispose of things. We've got a big skip here, fortunately. But if you've got a log burner, actually, some of this could do quite nice for fuel. This is a nightmare. We have lost the template for the inverter. Stupidly, when we unpacked everything, there was a cardboard template apparently in the box, which has clearly got thrown away. So now I'm skip diving, trying to find the template. So lesson for you, be careful when you're unboxing everything. The moral of the story, don't tidy up after yourself. We were trying to be really tidy and get rid of all the cardboard that was knocking around on site and everything. Sometimes you can be too tidy. Looks like we're gonna have to make our own. So because we've lost the mounting bracket template, we're having to measure up based on the distances between the various fixings. It'll take a little bit more time because it has to be pretty spot on. So it's very annoying that we've lost that thing, but it is what it is. So the guys are up there just measuring up, getting the laser line in place, trying to measure where the fixings need to be. We'll drill those, put the brackets in on the wall, and then we're going to lift the inverter up with the forklift, get it on the wall, then we can start to wire up to it. So the thing we've realised is you want to get all the modules flush with each other and then tighten this up to just keep it flush. But because we've stacked them all before we've put these screws in, the weight now is really hard. This one just needs a tiny adjustment, a few millimeters, but I'll be shifting like 400 kilos. I mean, I can move it slightly, stronger than I think, but it's better probably to screw them together each module at a time. I think we were just in a rush to try and stack them up quickly for the time lapse. So even though Sigenergy have sponsored this video, the deal we have with all of our sponsors is we can be brutally honest in the video about anything that we think could be improved and stuff. And actually, like this, I mentioned it earlier, it happened. So the packaging, because they attach it to the packaging like that, it's so easy to miss and lose them. It'd be much better if it was in like a bag with all of the fixings together, or if it was attached to the actual product itself. And last time, to be fair, they listened to us when we gave feedback on the first video we ever did for them, and they improved the product massively, so I'm sure that they'll do the same this time. So depending on what you're fixing to, sometimes the manufacturer supplied fittings are just not ideal. And in this case, we found them to be a little bit tricky. So we're using the 𝐼𝐻 wall anchors. We use these all the time for fitting batteries to walls, inverters to walls and stuff like that. They're super solid. You just drill a hole, like, so this is an 8mm hole and then a 55mm length. But the ones we're using for the inverter are actually much bigger. They're like 110mm long with a 10mm hole. So it allows you a really solid fixing. They're superb quality, like everything 𝐼𝐻 do. So we try to use these as much as we can. Let me know when to stop, because
I'm trying to think.
So this inverter weighs a lot. I think it's about 120 kilos, and obviously we're lifting it quite high, so it's not something you can do by hand off ladders. They do say in the instructions that you should use a hoist, but I couldn't hire a hoist in time, so we're going to use the forklift. Now, we've tried to lift it on top of the forks, but even then getting it off the top of the forks, you're going to need somebody on a ladder either side. It just doesn't feel safe. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to use the forklift as a hoist, hang the inverter below the forks and lift it up so that we can get it against the wall. The guys aren't lifting any weight, the forklift is taking all the weight, and then they just maneuver it into place and drop it in. So we'll go around like that, and then on the fork. So I'll lift the forks up, you guys put it on, and I'll move so that we're right above. So what we don't want is the forks to touch the wall. I love this machine, it's so useful. Can you go in between, or do I need to go
no,
back
if you keep
slightly?
going like that. Then...
This is the sketchiest thing we've ever done at Artisan. That's as far left as I can go.
Oh no!
It's not far enough.
Could not go left.
Okay, I can turn.
Yeah.
Pivot. Is your side in, Ruben?
Yeah. That's it. That's all.
Whee! So this is it, moment of truth. We're going to switch it on. What we're going to do is power on from the mains. So this is the main isolator switch. That's on. Yeah, so we're all good. Our phase rotation is good. We've got voltage. I'm going to just do a ZDB 2-wire high test, 0.09. Perfect. So write that down and then go to the next step. Now basically what we can do is close this up and switch this on here. 1, 2, 3. Right, so that should take power over to there. Let's test it there. So now the power comes in from here. So then we test rotation, rotation right, rotation right. Our phase rotation is all good there. And then we do an earth loop impedance test here as well. 0.11. So now we're going to power up the inverter. So that should be sending power up to our inverter. So we're going to need to turn our inverter on. And we have a light. Time to read the instructions. So I think it's gonna need to be connected to the internet before it will work. Is that all lining up your side? Yeah. Okay, great. All right, let's plug it into the internet and then I reckon we can start commissioning. Okay, so system name, Artisan HQ. Oh yes, how exciting to have our own solar. Let's go office. 33.75 kilowatt peak. Sigenergy unit, here we go. Right, download and install latest firmware. Let's see how long the firmware takes on a commercial and industrial system. Here we go, update completed. Device is restarting, maximum 173 seconds. Very precise. Oh, here we go, restart completed. Sigenergy unit is up to date. All right, so we've got a 60 kilowatt export limit. Operational mode, self-consumption for the moment. Maximum charge, discharge, 0. Off-grid enable, on. Custom off-grid switch enable, we'll leave that for the moment. Okay, so this is why it doesn't just automatically power through, because imagine if you just connected it up and then as soon as you turn it on, it's powering stuff and you didn't realize. So basically we have to commission it, and now it should kick in and we should get some power going through to that thing. And we are generating our own solar. We're generating 3.7 kilowatts of solar, and all of that is going into the batteries right now. Charge the batteries. We're not running anything off the board at the moment, but as soon as we plug something in fact, let's do a test. Let's plug the kettle in. The question is, can Jordan operate a kettle? Yeah, here we go. Site 3.2 kilowatt. There we go. That's the kettle boiling. So we are literally boiling the kettle on sunshine right now. How cool is that? The commissioning process was an absolute breeze using the Sigenergy app. Just like with the residential systems, it took about 5 minutes and I was blown away with how quick and easy it was. In fact, I was kind of surprised. At the end, I was like, is that it? It was done. So now that we've installed this system and it's been up and running for a couple of days, what are my overall thoughts? Well, first of all, when it comes to the installation, it was so easy. The stackability of this system just makes it incredibly easy to install, and it's super flexible. We can easily add more battery modules later. And the fact that it's so expandable from a small project like this in relative terms to megawatt scale projects, this system allows you to do what you need for your particular site. Now, although we did lift these battery modules into place with the forklift because we had it available, it is possible to just lift them into place by hand, which means you don't need to get lots of heavy machinery in, you don't need to get additional subcontractors in to help with things like manual handling, and even mounting them on the ground is a super simple and easy process. Now, one of the reasons we've chosen this system here at Artisan HQ is because of the multiple layers of safety built into it. Obviously, we've had to install it inside the building, which is not always ideal, but I wanted this system because it has 6 layers of safety built into each of these battery packs. Now, how does this compare to other commercial and industrial options? Well, a lot of those offerings out there right now are containerized systems, which means they're huge and heavy. You need a crane to lift them into place. And then when it comes to safety, you've got the issue of all of the battery modules being in one container. The fire suppression systems that they tend to install in those containerized systems tend to be global fire suppression systems. So if one battery module catches fire, the fire suppression system will put the fire out in the whole container, but essentially the whole container is ruined. With these battery modules, each individual module has its own fire suppression system built into it. So imagine the internals of this battery module caught fire. It would shut down the fire within the battery module and none of the other modules would be affected. The other great thing about these is they're IP66 rated, which means that they can be put outside, in dusty environments, basically all of the worst environments that you could think of when it comes to commercial and industrial settings. This system can handle it. Now, this is what we call a DC coupled system, which means that it's coupled straight into the hybrid inverter. When it comes to taking the DC power from the solar panels, that power goes straight into the batteries and stays DC. In an AC coupled system, you get conversion losses and you can lose several % in power in those situations. So this system is designed with a DC to DC architecture, DC coupled, to minimize losses. And it means that you can oversize the system, so you can do 200% oversizing. For example, if we wanted to, we could fit 120 kilowatts of DC to this inverter and all the excess power would go straight into the batteries. Depending on what level of discharge you need will guide your selection when it comes to the battery controller. The one that we've selected here is the M2 0.5C BST. That allows a half C discharge, so with 120 kilowatt hours of battery storage, we can discharge at 60 kilowatt peak, which is more than enough for us, especially considering we've got a 60 kilowatt inverter. But if you needed a higher discharge rate, you could go with the 1C battery controller. That would allow you to discharge 120 kilowatt from these batteries. And it's important as part of the design phase that you make sure you select the correct battery controller. Now, when it comes to the inverters, Sigenergy make 3 variants. There's the M1, which is purely a PV inverter. There's the M1HYA, which is a hybrid inverter like this, but designed for on-grid systems only. And you can connect PV to it only, you can connect battery only to it, or both. And then there's the inverter that we've selected for this project, which is the M1HYB. That is designed for on and off-grid scenarios. And in this case, it allows us to go completely off-grid if we want to, with backup power from these batteries. Now, I asked the question at the start of this video, can we run the Artisan HQ off-grid? Well, now is the time to find out. We're going to do the off-grid test by turning off the mains, simulating a power cut, and we're going to see what happens. So let's go into the plant room and flip the main switch and see what happens. So this is the main isolator switch for the entire building. We shut this off, we shut off the power to everything. Simulating a grid outage. Let's see what happens. And we still have light. And our network rack is still illuminated. Nothing's tripped out. That was completely seamless. So the question is, how big can you really go with a system like this? And the answer is, it's kind of infinite. From a small system like this, in fact, you can start with only 4 battery modules. Each inverter can take up to 21 battery modules, and then you can parallel up to hundreds of inverters together to create grid scale battery projects. In fact, Sigenergy have already done one that is working right now at the 10 megawatt scale, all using these same batteries, battery controllers, and the same type of inverter. So it just shows that whether you're a small business or a huge factory, whether you want to build a solar farm, the possibilities are endless with a system like this. The expandability is just incredible. So that's it. We have powered our Artisan HQ from pure renewable energy. We're off-grid if we want to, and we have secured our energy future. I'm super excited to see what happens in the coming months with this system and how we can use it to benefit our business. Now, if you'd like a system like this for your business, whether it's a small company like ours or a huge factory or solar farm, we'd love to help. And there's a link below where you can get a quote from us to design a system like this for your own business. And if you haven't liked or subscribed already, it's time, because we're going to have loads more content coming for you guys. So stay tuned for that. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.